Episode 77, All the Everything Podcast. I'm Billy. That's Tim. Tim, we're back in the studio, my friend. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I feel like we constantly have this conversation because
Yep.
Leslie and I travel nonstop for
Yep.
work and leisure. It's crazy. I'm happy to be back. This week's going to be another bulk recording week we have ahead of us. It's funny, like I was looking at my Delta app. Did I already tell you this?
No.
About how many more days I'm going to be traveling this year?
Oh, gosh.
I looked at my Delta app, added up all the days, and then there was like an off thing where we were driving somewhere for a week up to Michigan like we usually do.
Uh-huh.
And with that, it said, now I got to take 7 days off because we just came home. But at that point, I was at 88 days travel still to go this year. And that's not counting all the stuff we've already done. Like that kind of gave me perspective of, oh my God, we are literally never here.
Right. It's true.
It's the life of being a travel agency owner or a travel agent in general.
Right.
A lot of traveling, you gotta put in the work, but we just get to work from great places. So no complaints for me.
But it's also a testament of how much we love you all, the listeners, because you know what? We've never missed a week on the podcast since we started.
Yeah.
And 77 episodes in, 77 weeks in a row, we are here for your entertainment because we love you.
We do love you, and we made that commitment from the very beginning. We would never miss a week unless God help us something happens.
Right.
We're reasonable people.
Absolutely.
But we won't miss.
Yep.
Maybe we should
can't miss. Won't miss, can't miss.
Can't miss. What? All day,
son.
How many times do you miss? Never. How many times do you hit it? All day.
Every day. What?
All day, every day. Oh God. We usually riff off mic, but since we didn't talk off mic a lot, so here you are getting what we do all the time. We're always just going back and forth and talking about nonsense and making up songs and so that's it. But
that's that.
But I just got back. I was on a celebrity cruise with my wife, Leslie. Mm-hmm. We were on there for a business cruise. It's called a Seminar at Sea. And so with that, you have about 3 days of in classroom time. And I think I talked about this last time about us coming up would be in the classroom from like 9 to 3, like 3 days and touring some stuff. It wasn't as painful. I mean, I didn't like sitting there all day, but the training was good. It had a good trainer and a good group of people. So we still had plenty of time to enjoy ourselves on the cruise. But yeah, so even though we cruise, we still do work, guys. I promise.
That's right.
And we're blessed to be able to do it. But it was a great cruise. So I will say, anybody, if you've sailed Celebrity Cruise Line or know anything about it, it's an older crowd. It's just the way it is, right? It's like they maybe went to Royal, but this is like their step up because it's not a lot of kids. It's a little bit more refined, a little slower. And at first we were like, and this is no offense to anybody, my mother-in-law, Georgia, out there listening, but there was a lot of, because she'll get on me, but there was a lot of old people, like anywhere from, high 60s into their 80s. And at first it's like, God, there's so many old people. Like, I just didn't feel like we kind of fit in with the vibe, but a couple of days in and we're like, this is okay. It kind of got us to slow down and not like try to go from place to place to place. Most people, and I mean it wholeheartedly, were just happy to be alive on that cruise. They were just happy to be there. You didn't have any like rude people trying to rush you into like the elevator, how you're trying to get off and people try to take you out. You had none of that. You had no people like running to get somewhere. Everyone was just kind of chill, taking their time. And you know what? We realized that wasn't bad. And the food's amazing there. The service is fantastic. I mean, there's so many great things about it. But I'm not going to go into a whole spiel about that. But if you want to go on a cruise, we can get you there at exclusivetravelpartners.com. And you can reach out and ask Billy, our very own Billy here, to be your travel agent and help you get a cruise. So
that's right.
That is our ad for the day, besides the other ads that you've already heard or will hear wherever you're at in the episode. And it's speaking of ads, I don't know if we should go there. Let's maybe not. let's
Hey,
just say
just
let's just say some ads have slipped through the crack.
yes.
Yes.
We set parameters on what things we want to be advertised, I guess.
Yeah.
Like say, okay, we don't want these, but there's still some that, we'll get a call, be like, hey. And then I heard one just say, I don't even know what, I don't even want to mention what it was for, but it just was not in line with the podcast. And
Yeah.
it was very interesting. So
But
if you hear
it
one of
got us
those,
the most views of every podcast of all time was that one thing they offered. So if you ever hear
oh,
anything random, you're like, this doesn't sound right, let us know, because
yes,
sometimes they
please.
will sneak an ad in there, because I can go in and preset, like, we don't want anything about politics or smoking and alcohol, and there's a whole
Hmm.
bunch of stuff that you can talk about,
Hmm.
or not want to have covered. So again, if you hear something and you're like, that doesn't sound
Woo.
typical for the ads they have,
Yeah.
let us know, because
Yeah.
it probably wasn't right. And we got to
Right.
let our advertisers know, like, no, you can't do
Not
that.
that one. No,
Not
not
that
us.
one. Not that one, please. Not that one,
Yeah.
please. But yeah.
Oh man, but did I tell? Oh, no, I didn't tell you because you've been
Yeah.
gone.
So
But
what you been? Yeah. What you been up to? What happened?
I had the biggest migraine because of Facebook the other day. Okay,
Oh,
so every night we do like the girls and I we do a nightly Bible study as a family, and
yeah.
I use my phone. I use the Bible app, and Chloe's always like sitting right beside me, reading on whatever scripture we're reading that night or whatever. But then the email pops down. It's from Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and it says you have been banned from all of Facebook, basically.
What?
And I was like, what the heck? And so the whole time, like we're doing the Bible study, it's just like when it pops down and then goes away. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
crap is going on? What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Ah.
Seriously.
And so we get done and I pull up the thing and they have blocked my main account, all my business accounts, this podcast account. Tim would
What?
have still had access to it because he's an admin on it, but they took me off of everything. And I'm like, what the heck, for community guideline violations? And I'm like,
Okay.
what did I do? What did I do? And so dealing with the dang AI, because there's not anybody you can actually call and talk to,
Yeah.
like if
Really.
even find to say what the community guideline violation was, because I didn't do anything. I've had this account since the day Facebook went public, where you didn't have to have a school email to join.
Right.
I have been on Facebook since that day. Computer flagged me for some random reason, and then I found an appeal thing. I click on the appeal, and like literally in 5 seconds, it said, "Okay, sorry, that's our mistake. You didn't do anything wrong. You're reactivated."
Oh.
But when they reactivated my main account. They
Okay.
reactivated my ETP account, which was
Okay.
great. But they did not reactivate and still suspended my. I have a doctor's like subgroup for doctors that book travel,
Yeah.
which is one of my largest accounts, and a majority of my business comes from that account. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't do that. They banned the my other large group. There's like 4 or 5 different groups, and I was fighting with the AI, and it was just sending me in circles. And I'm like, it says like, okay, you have this violation on there, but I was like, but you said I didn't do anything wrong on the other ones. Why does this still on there? And I mean, I
Right.
was going around in circles, and I was getting so aggravated.
Oh yeah.
Finally, the next day, I found like some kind of link that allowed me to reinstate all of those. But man,
Oh, you were sweating it.
my blood pressure, I could just feel the heat coming off my face. Like,
Oh
that was
man.
like, that's a big part of my livelihood.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah.
we like, oh, it's kind of nice to get off of social media, but when you market and everything, especially a majority of that comes from Facebook. And not
Oh
only
yeah.
that, like, having to message people, like, talking like they're on DMs and stuff, like they can't DM me to,
Yeah.
to direct where I want them to direct, to contact me. Um, it just, oh gosh, it was just stressful, but I'm
Oh
back
my god, that's
online.
awful.
Yep. I was only gone for like 12 hours on a lot of things, but
Yeah.
oh man, it just was not a good. it was stressful. So I'm still a little bitter.
I can tell, and I don't blame you.
Yep.
I would have freaked
Yep.
out as well, especially thinking
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh." Then it
It's like
makes
I
me
don't.
think, did somebody go on one of our posts and report spam or something, and that triggered it?
I have no idea what
Don't get
triggered
any
it or
ideas out there, by the way.
yeah,
Don't you
don't
try to
yeah, don't
spam us.
yeah. But I didn't do anything wrong. And like it was crazy, So but I'm back. It was their mistake, their computer AI, and I guess it happens a lot from the Googling
Oh,
that I
it
did
has to.
afterwards. But I'm like, I just want to talk to a person, but there's not any it's just robots now. So
Mm.
Merc.
AI and robots taking
That's right.
over.
That's right.
They try to give
Ah,
them like little cute names for their AI bots, so you don't get so angry. So
oh
you're not going to
no.
be yelling at like at Bubbles, the AI assistant.
Well,
Dang you,
man,
Bubbles!
you suck.
Go to Taco Bell
Yeah, you
and then
suck.
say you suck. If you don't know what that is, you have to go back and search every episode to find out what that story is from.
Yeah, at least
And
comes up
let
at
us
least one
know.
episode, every episode, at least one time. Yep.
That is really true. That's fair.
Yep. Jeez.
We've been getting up into a lot of things, but we've got a great episode, and I think it's time to let the people hear it.
Let's do it.
Well, there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Are you ready, my friend?
You better believe it. Let's get into all the everything, y'all.
All the everything, we've got it all. We've got it all, small, weird or tall. So grab your snacks, sit back, don't stress. Cause Tim and Billy talk about the randomness. Information prone to UFOs will take you where the weirdness goes. It's two guys talking way too loud about stuff that makes no sense, but we're kinda proud. Welcome to the madness.
Well, welcome back to yet another amazing episode of All the Everything Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Tim Sawhook, and I'm joined by my favorite DJ, DJ Billy. Wookie. Parchment, everybody. What's up, DJ Billy?
What's up? What's up? On the ones and twos.
On the ones and twos, baby.
That's right.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We were talking about DJ stuff before we got on, so here we are. That's what stuck in my head. So,
That's
and I've
right.
never called him DJ Billy. So,
Nope, that's a new one. That was a
Feeling
new
good.
intro for the list.
add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. So we've got a really good episode today.
Yeah.
We were coming up with different topics and things like that, and we found this to be an interesting one, and then kind of a repeat of certain things we know you guys like to listen to, or stories you're interested in. So, Billy, what are we talking about today, my friend?
Well, yeah, this is going to fall under that true crime kind of category, if you will. We've done different versions of this before. And so with that said, this is one of those episodes that we do deal with some sensitive topics that, would that kind of go along with true crime. And so if you're sensitive to that, just, check us out. Check out one of 76 other episodes, and so, but thanks for the download and coming in today. But yeah, today what we're going to be focusing on is the episode's called Lost and Found. And so these are stories of folks that went missing, and later we actually have answers to what happened. Because a lot of times, you might have something that, somebody who went missing, but there's never that resolve, whatever that resolve might be. But on today's episode, there is that found portion of that, I guess, if you will. So that's kind of what we're going to be diving into today.
Well, I'm interested to get into it and share this with everybody. So, Billy, why don't you kick us off today with your story?
Yeah. Okay. Well, today I'm going to share a story of one of the most shocking and unbelievable survival cases in modern history. It's the story of Amanda Berry, Gina De Jesus, and Michelle Knight. These three young women who were taken and held captive for nearly a decade inside a house in Cleveland. The kidnappings themselves were disturbingly simple. In 2002, Michelle Knight accepted a ride from a man that she knew casually, his name Ariel Castro, who
Mm.
instead took her to his house and forced her inside, beginning what would become years of captivity. In 2003, Amanda Berry disappeared just one day before her 17th birthday after being
Mm.
offered a ride. And later in that same year, 14-year-old Gina De Jesus was walking home from school when Castro, someone familiar in the neighborhood and even known to her family, convinced her
Mm.
to get in his vehicle. So each case involved a sense of trust, which made what was to follow even more chilling. Once inside the house, their lives became controlled in ways that are difficult to fully comprehend. They were
Mm.
often kept in separate rooms with limited movement and no contact with the outside world. Doors were locked, windows were
Mm.
covered, and every part of their environment was designed to keep them hidden. They were even chained to a pole in the basement for a lot of their stay. Over time, they were occasionally allowed to interact, and that connection became one of the most important parts of their survival. They leaned on each other, they formed a bond, and found ways to hold on to hope in a place that was meant to take it all away.
Mm.
During those years, Amanda Berry gave birth to a child while in captivity, something that added both responsibility and strength to their situation as they continue to endure day after day. And what makes this case even more unsettling is how
Mm-hmm.
normal everything appeared from the outside. The house set in a regular neighborhood surrounded by people going about their daily lives. And neighbors later said that they had no idea what was happening inside, which just goes to show you how hidden their situation truly was. Everything changed on May 6, 2013. On that day, Ariel Castro left the house, and for one of the first times, a critical mistake was made when a door that was usually secured was not fully locked. Amanda Berry recognized the opportunity and immediately acted on it. She made her way to the door and began calling out for help, hoping somebody would hear her. A
Oh.
neighbor, Charles Ramsey, heard her voice and came to the house. When he realized that she was trying to get out but could not open the door, he helped force it open, allowing her to step outside for the first time in nearly 10 years.
Wow.
In that moment, everything shifted. Amanda Berry quickly used a phone to call 911, telling the operators that she had been kidnapped and had been missing for years. Police arrived within minutes, and what they found inside the home was beyond what anybody would expect.
Oh.
As they searched the house, they discovered Gina De Jesus and Michelle Knight were still inside, and they found Amanda Berry's young daughter, a child who had been born during the years of captivity and who had spent her entire life almost inside that house. That's just, I
Wow.
mean, just picture that.
Yeah. Does it say how old the child was
She was
when they?
6 years old when she was rescued.
Oh my
She was
gosh.
6 years old when she was rescued.
So how old's Lily?
She's about to turn 7. Yeah, she was her age.
Could you imagine?
That's insane.
Wow.
And it was later confirmed that obviously that was Ariel Castro's daughter. Obviously,
Mhm.
all 3 women, along with the child, were brought to safety, ending a nightmare, which had lasted almost a decade. The rescue was fast, but the impact was immediate. News spread quickly that these 3 women who had been missing for years had been found alive, and families who had spent so long searching were suddenly reunited in a moment filled with shock, relief, and overwhelming emotion. In the days and years that followed, more details came to light, not just about what they endured, but how they survived. Their strength was not just in lasting through it, but supporting one another, in holding onto hope, and in being ready to act when the moment finally came.
Mm-hmm.
That single opportunity combined with years of resilience is what ultimately led to their escape. Ariel Castro was arrested shortly after the rescue and later sentenced to life in prison, where he died not long after. But this story is not about him. It's
Mm-hmm.
about survival. It's about resilience. It's about three individuals who endured the unimaginable and still found a way forward. This is not just a story about being lost, it's a story about being found and about the moment when hope finally broke through the years of silence. Man, um, you
Wow.
know, going through the list of different stories that we could have shared, this one stood out because I actually remember seeing this on the news because
Yeah.
um, one, obviously, their story of survival, and with their rescue too, kind of went viral because the neighbor, Charles um, Ramsey,
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of a character. Like he's just
Yeah.
like he's like going through like all this stuff. Like it's a viral video. Like if you and we'll probably end up posting like clips of the video and stuff. But I mean, he was a character. He's like, I heard her like, and then like listening to her 911 call and his 911 call,
Yeah.
um, and just like she's like, I've been missing for years, and they're like, you can hear the cops like they're like, we're on our way. He's like, I think this might be real, y'all. And so just the three of them, and just and and one thing I
Yeah.
didn't share in the story is what he used to get them was, like I said, they knew who he was. They were familiar with him. He used his
Yeah.
daughter as an excuse because his daughter went to school with Gina,
Oh,
and so
wow.
he's like, hey, why don't you come get in the car? We'll go see her. And so that's how she got in the car. He knew the family of the other ones, and
Yeah.
just the things that I don't even want to mention that he did to these poor girls are
Yeah.
just horrifying. But they survived, and they survived together, and I'm so thankful that they were able to get out. And oh my gosh, man, oh dude,
Yeah. Like you, I remember the story breaking on the news and watching it on the Today Show that morning. And it
yeah,
was just insane. That, first of all, it was just amazing that they were able to survive this long and they were finally found. That was
yeah,
phenomenal. But when they started digging deeper and they start talking about this guy and the things that they went through and just how um you mentioned it in every instance, he was kind of known around the neighborhood to the point where
yeah,
he was almost you become almost invisible
yeah,
because everyone, you're so well known, everybody sees you, knows you, um and they have no clue. And so it looks like he used that to his advantage to manipulate them, and also just he probably felt like he was invincible at that point. You know, he's been
yeah.
holding three girls in his basement for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm wondering, because I don't remember every detail now, it's been so long, but how how did the daughter never have any idea what was going on in the
That
basement, or
I
why
was
was he married? I don't remember.
No, I don't think he was not married, and I was thinking the same thing because he used her as an excuse for a lot of it, and obviously she would be
Yeah.
involved, and so I actually dug deeper and looked into that afterwards, just in like my research, and it said that
Yeah.
she was devastated when she found out. She did not know that these girls were in that house for a decade, and I'm like, how is that even possible? But
Yeah.
it said that she didn't know, and she was absolutely embarrassed and devastated, obviously, and um, yeah, it's just it. That's what they say, that so
Yeah.
she wasn't arrested or anything like that, but he definitely used her as a and if like Gina was what, in high school? She was what,
Yeah.
14 at the time, or 16, something like that. She was young. No, she was 14 when she was kidnapped. She was 14 years old. So and she went to school with the daughter. So I guess she wasn't living
Yeah.
with him. So I guess the mother was somewhere else. I guess if you kind of put that
Oh,
together, but
because I
uh,
would think like in 10 years you would try to go down to the basement, right?
yeah,
And
the
was
basement, or
probably
later he would have them locked in rooms as well. So they weren't in the basement for the full 10 years, and he tried to keep them separate for a lot of it. But
right.
But
That was the biggest
yeah,
mistake he ever did, was letting them get together and
yeah,
being strong. It's like they probably had to take turns being hopeful, right? Two
yeah.
would crash out, think we're screwed. The other one would be like, hold on, we can do this. We
Mhm.
can wait this out. And the next person would take the strong role and have to probably carry through as well.
Yeah.
With all the abuse they endured going through that.
Like,
Just,
and he let Amanda have the baby. I know Michelle had gotten pregnant. I think she said 5 times, and he would never let her keep the babies. And she's not able to actually have children today because of all of that. But he let Amanda keep it. But they said when the baby was born, the 3 of them, that just gave them purpose as well. And to protect this
yeah,
girl as much as they can, this daughter, because that's that's her family. And then it's also like, I think Robin, on Good Morning America, that she was interviewing her, and
yeah.
she's like, talking about, like, with all this evil and how evil he was, and she's like, no, this is my child. This is my child. She was
I
saying
love that.
that. And so, yeah, she did mention that with the interview, because they were on Good Morning America. They were, after the fact, sharing their stories on different news things,
Yeah,
and this is very well documented and stuff. But the things that they had to go through, these poor girls. But praise God, they were found.
yeah.
I know once you're found, you have a lot of healing you have to do, and I don't know if you can ever close some of those things that they had to go through. But I pray that
Only
they
God's
do.
grace could take care of
Yeah,
that. So,
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, that's
wow.
the story that happened in Cleveland. You know, Charles, the same guy that we were talking about, that hurt her and helped her break the door down to get her out. He said that he would just see him in the backyard, sometimes grilling hot dogs or tinkering with his
Wow.
motorcycles. And that's all he knew about him. Had no idea that inside just, was all this horror,
Yeah.
And
Well, he's an amazing a-hole, sociopath, psychopath,
yeah.
and I'm glad he
Mhm.
died in prison. So
Right. He gone. He
he
gone.
gone. He
Yep.
deserved it. So, well, Billy, thanks for sharing that story. Like, again, so important to hear those voices. Um, but I also picked a story that is a little bit more well known. I figured for the first time through, I'd kind of pick one. It's something that's intrigued me and Leslie. We've watched so much on that. And
Mhm.
this is the kidnapping and disappearance of Elizabeth Smart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is very well documented out there. There's
Mhm.
so much to see, and we've watched, I think, every kind of documentary that's come out about it because it's so fascinating. But I do want to also put a listener warning in this, because the story includes kidnapping, some coercive control, non-graphic references to abuse involving a minor. So please listen with care. If that's something,
Mhm.
if you listen in the car with your kids or something, I pass on it this week. Just because we don't want anybody to be scarred from what they hear here. So,
Mhm.
and like I said, let me be very clear. I'm sharing non-graphic references, so it's nothing graphic, but it's still the story and it's still
Yeah.
horrible. So,
Mhm.
but anyhow, I just want to get that out before we get going. So, it's June 5th, 2002, Salt Lake City, Utah. It's the kind of place where people describe life as steady, predictable, and safe. The smart home is full that night. 6 kids, parents, the usual rhythm of a big family winding down. There's nothing unusual about the evening, no tension, no warning signs. Elizabeth Smart, 14 years old, is asleep in her bedroom. She's the oldest, the responsible one, the one who helps without being asked. She plays the harp beautifully. People describe her as calm, kind, and steady. She shares her room with her younger sister, Mary Catherine. The lights go out, and the house settles for the evening. Sometime in the early hours of the morning, Elizabeth wakes up. At first, it's just a feeling. That subtle shift with something isn't right. You can kind of feel that. Then she sees him, a man standing next to her bed, close enough that there's no confusion, no doubt about what's happening. He's holding a knife, and his voice is quiet but absolute. And he says, "If you scream, I will kill your entire family." Can you imagine that fear hearing that?
Mm.
And that's the moment everything changes. Not
Mm.
just fear for herself, but fear for everyone in her family. And in that moment, Elizabeth makes a decision that defines everything that follows. She listens. She gets out of bed, slowly, carefully, and walks down the hallway. Mary Catherine is awake this entire time, watching. She hears the threat. She sees the weapon, and she says that I'm staying still. I'm not going to move because she believes it too, that this guy is going to kill their entire family if anybody moves or screams or yells.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Elizabeth is led out of her room, down the hallway, and out the door. And just like that, she disappears into the night. Morning comes and nothing makes sense. The house wakes up slowly. At first, it's routine, but within minutes, something feels off. Elizabeth isn't where she should be. They check the house, they call out her name, they look outside, nothing. And then Mary Catherine speaks, her voice shaking. She describes what she saw: a man, a knife, a threat to the family. And suddenly, this isn't confusion anymore, it's terror for the entire family. Police are called, search teams mobilized, the entire neighborhood transforms almost instantly. Lights, sirens, voices, TV crews, and the Smart family is thrown into a nightmare that doesn't have any rules. So the first 48 hours, the first 2 days are everything. If you've seen any of the TV shows, the first 48 hours is like the big crucial part in finding somebody. Search crews flood the area. Volunteers show up in waves. Neighbors, strangers, law enforcement, everyone is looking for Elizabeth. The family clings to hope because in those early hours, hope still feels possible. Ed Smart, Elizabeth's father, goes on camera, pleading, steady, but you can hear it underneath, the fear. Every tip is followed, every possibility explored. And then the questions start. Who would do this? Why her? How did they get inside? And there are no easy answers. Within days, a name surfaces, Brian David Mitchell. He'd been around the family before, not a close friend, not trusted, but known. Mary Catherine's description begins to align with him, and for a moment, it feels like a breakthrough for the family. But it's not enough, not yet. Her memory isn't complete, details are uncertain, and in that uncertainty, time passes, and Mitchell disappears into the background. While the world is searching, Elizabeth is in the mountains, a campsite, a tent, no locked doors, no chains, but she is completely trapped. Mitchell begins shaping her reality immediately. He tells her she is chosen, that she is now his wife. That makes me sick. That this is a religious destiny for them to be together. And when she resists, he escalates. Threats, constant, reinforced, not just against her, but again against her family, that he would kill them all. He convinces her that they are being watched, that escape equals consequences, real ones, deadly ones. And then there's another presence. Her name is Wanda Barzee. She doesn't challenge him, she supports him. She reinforces the rules, the control, the environment. Together, they create a world where Elizabeth has no safe move. So now days turn into weeks. Time becomes strange. There's no routine like before, no school, no normal structure, just survival. Elizabeth is moved between locations, sometimes deeper in the mountains, sometimes closer to civilization. She is disguised, robes, veils, sunglasses. Her identity is hidden. And through it all, the abuse continues. Not described in detail, but constant enough that it shapes everything. And still, she holds on to herself. And then it's the family's long fight. Back home, the search doesn't stop. Weeks turn into months, but the Smart family refuses to fade. They go on national television. They speak her name constantly. They keep her face visible. But behind that effort is pure exhaustion. There's grief that has been confirmed, fear that doesn't go away. Every lead brings hope, and then disappointment. They live in that cycle over and over for 9 months. And then there were the almost moments. During those months, there are moments that came so close. Elizabeth is seen in public, walking, standing, existing in places filled with people, but she is disguised and controlled. People notice something unusual, but not enough. In Elizabeth, she's calculating every second. She wants to live. She wants her family safe. And so she waits. And this part's not in the story right here, but there was a point where they went to a local library to use the internet. And they're all dressed in their religious garb, and she's dressed with the mask on and the head cover and the robes. And a police officer does come into the library and sees her in there and thinks this could be Elizabeth Smart, about the same age, eyes look similar. And he says, I would like her to remove her face cover so I can see her. And the man says, no, it's against the religion, and nobody else can see her but me. And they fight back and forth a little bit. And eventually the police just walk away. And Elizabeth is just shocked and dismayed with it. She was so close to being rescued right there.
Man.
But because of those religious beliefs and, people not wanting to violate those things, that happened, which is just awful. So during that time, she's trying to hold on to her identity. This is where her strength really shows. She doesn't accept the identity that's forced upon her, not internally. She remembers who she is, where she came from, who loves her. The quiet resistance, the refusal to let her mind be taken, is what carries her through. Then on March 12th, 2003, 9 months later, a police officer notices something small. A man, 2 women, and something doesn't feel right. So he stops them. Questions begin, names, background. Mitchell answers, confident, but kind of off.
Mm-hmm.
Another officer arrives, recognizes him as, he was maybe going to be a suspect earlier on in the case, and people kind of forgot about him. And suddenly everything shifts. Elizabeth is separated, questioned, and at first she stays with the story she's been forced to tell out of fear. But the officers are calm, patient, resistant, and then a pause, a crack, and then she says it. I'm Elizabeth Smart. Alive. The world goes crazy. The news spreads instantly. Relief, shock, disbelief. She had been gone for 9 months, and now she's back. But recovery doesn't happen overnight. Billy kind of talked about that in his story as well. Mitchell is arrested. Barzy is arrested, but justice takes time. Mitchell's mental state becomes a major focus in court. Years of evaluations, delays. And finally, in 2010, now remember, she was rescued back in, do you remember what I said?
2003, right?
2003.
Yeah.
I was making sure my numbers were right before I was so confident. But finally, 7 years later, he stands trial. The evidence is overwhelming. He's convicted, kidnapping, and also unlawful transportation of a minor.
Mm.
He's sentenced to life in prison, which I think is a gift for him. It should have been something a little bit harder. But Barzy, the female, pleads guilty earlier. She serves time for her role as well. It's not really laid out about how much time that she did serve. And Elizabeth, she doesn't disappear. She actually steps forward. She tells her story, not for attention, but to help people understand. She speaks about survival and why victims don't always have to run, about fear, control, and endurance. She becomes an advocate, a voice for others who feel unheard. As a matter of fact, she did a couple TED Talks about her situation, and she has done many talks with people about advocating for people and victims. Mm-hmm. And the confidence that she displays and the strength is just unparalleled. You think about what this person went through for that 9 months and the way that she is with her faith, and she's married and has kids of her own and things like that. It's resilient, and it's amazing to see. But as I wrap up, Elizabeth Smart's story isn't just about being found. It's about what it takes to endure something unimaginable and still hold on to yourself. She was taken, controlled, silenced, but not broken. And the fact that she chose to come back and use her voice to help others, that's not just survival, that's courage. And that's why this story stays with you. And that's the story of Elizabeth Smart.
Oh, man.
It's crazy. I had to really pare this down because
there's
so much detail in this story. And I'll share a couple of things that I didn't have in the script here to read off of for the podcast. Though she was so smart and conniving when she was with the 2 people, even in the mountains and stuff. because at one point they had been in the mountains for a long time, and they had come down, and they actually were seen at a party. And there's a picture of a guy posing with them at a party, and Elizabeth Smart's there, standing there with her garb on in this photo. So like they were around people a lot of different times. And Mitchell had said to the ladies that he had heard from God that they should leave and go to Chicago and find out about what they could do there. And Elizabeth was smart enough to trick him and say, no, I feel like God's calling us to stay here. We haven't finished our mission here yet, where she was located just like minutes from where she lived.
Right.
And he listened to her. And he listened to her and said, you're right. We should stay here,
Crazy.
especially if God told you that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just one of the other many times that she used her mind and was stayed sharp and thought about different ways to keep herself in that local area. Because every time they came into town, she kept saying, like, I know exactly where I'm at. I could walk home from here. She knew the restaurants and the stores and everything. And she knew she was just so close to home and just waiting for that opportunity. Yeah. This story is crazy. Most people who are into true crime or just, watch the news even know the story about Elizabeth Smart. And if you want to watch more, hear more about it, go on Netflix. There's many documentaries. She did one not too long ago. And her story is just amazing. Again, when you just watch her talk, it's with like defiance, about this was not going to break her for the rest of her life. And it's very impressive, man. It's very impressive. The strength of these women and these stories today is just second to none. It makes you think about, like, could have I held out that long? Would I have been smart enough to think anything? And, they're kidnapped at these young ages too, where they're not fully developed in their thoughts and their mind and all those things yet. Just, it's unreal. It was horrific just to think that all of a sudden he was just in her bedroom that night.
Yeah.
I think it was that he actually had put up a chair or something outside the window. They didn't talk about that here in this portion of the story that I had gathered my notes from, but just from watching the show. There was one crazy part to the story too. So there was a chair outside the window, and that's how we got in. I think he cut the screen, but I don't know how many months later or weeks later at all, but there was another Smart family member, a cousin of hers, who someone tried to break into their house and kidnap them. Same scenario, chair by the window. But I don't think they got in, or they were scared off or something, but it was an attempt on the same family, even though not immediate, to do the same thing, which I thought was crazy.
It's so scary, especially as a parent, right?
Yeah.
Just
of young girls.
Yeah, exactly. And just it's terrifying. And just the strength these ladies had is inspiring. And we share their story today, and I know they want to share their stories too, to just so that people know that it's not over. You can fight. And then there's a will, and they did it. And I think it's, like you said, and it's important to honor their stories, and to share. So I think that's super important. That's why we do it. So
yeah. Well, we want to hear what you think about these stories, what you remember, where you were at, maybe when you heard them. And I know there's a couple ways for people to get in touch with us on our social media.
If you want to just reach out to us, like I said, we're on Facebook, thankfully
for now.
For now, apparently, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on all the socials. So do All the Everything podcast, YouTube, watch this whole episode right there, on there. Plus all of our shorts are there as well. Yeah. And we just love for you all to just come along, join, like we said, join our private chat, get the inside scoop. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just famous podcasters you have full access to, right?
I want to say, though, I do want to say a shout out to our people who are our listeners and downloaders, because Billy knows this too. Our download numbers have gone up quite a bit recently. And we're very thankful for that. So if you're a new listener, welcome to the show. There's plenty of things to go back and listen to. A lot of great episodes. But we're happy you're here if you're new. Keep an eye out for crazy ads or an ear out. Let us know if something leaks through. If you know what episode that Billy was talking about with that one thing. If you know, you know. And then we'll just leave it at that.
You know. Oh, my gosh. Oh.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today for yet another amazing episode of All the Everything Podcast. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and we will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.